welcome back to the second segment of Sold with Updike Pugh, episode 128.
128.
Yep.
That's a lot of episodes.
It
It's
is.
a lot of talking. Oh my gosh.
So today, we're going to talk about, we have so many people moving to Texas that we wanted to share some of the things that we really enjoy about getting out and being able to enjoy summertime here. It does get really hot here in the summer, but we've got some ways to cool off that you don't have in a lot of other states.
That's right. And so many people come here and they're used to either being around mountains or having a beach just around the corner. And Texas is really huge. And so because of that size, there's a lot of lakes, there's a lot of rivers. And so we just wanted to point out what's close by, and by close in Texas terms, we mean 4 hours or less. And wanted to share these with you because it is time to get out. One of the things is that as we've learned through this pandemic, that planning ahead is really important. So these areas all have parks. One of the most important things to do is to log on to the different websites as we discuss and make sure that you're able to get into the park. And if you're going to spend the night, definitely think ahead and get those permits, because one of the first things that we did last year was we went to the dinosaur park, and it was 2 hours away, took the bikes. We're not even going to stay, just want to do some biking. It was like that first weekend or second weekend that there was a little bit of lift in the closures, and we were the 100th car at noon that was turned away because the park was already full. So with that being said, these are great. Plan ahead.
The first place that we were going to talk about today is the Brazos River. And the Brazos River is the longest river in the state of Texas. It's 840 miles long.
It's enormous.
Yes. Yeah, so you can access this at several different points along the way. The place that we looked into was accessing it just outside Mineral Wells, which is about 2.5 hours to the west of us here.
And it actually is what helped create Possum Kingdom. And if you've ever been to Possum Kingdom, amazing lake. It's really deep, probably one of the deepest lakes that we have here in Texas.
That's probably true, yeah.
And one of the most amazing things is that as it cuts through the area, it created really high cliffs. And so you can go out to Hell's Gate. And I believe it is either Labor Day or Memorial Day. There is a cliff diving competition that is sponsored by Red Bull, and it is fairly amazing.
Yeah, I hear that's really hard to physically get to. I think you can watch it live on ESPN or something like that, but the boat rentals all rent out like a year in advance of that event.
We've been to it one time, and I think that it was only acceptable because it was a pontoon with a cover, because you're in the middle of nowhere. And this is Hell's Gate. You enter on either side, and I'm gonna say, I think it was, if you look back at that picture, I think it was on the right. I think that's where they jumped from. Anyway, it's amazing. Brazos River, as Jeff was saying, goes all the way. I think it crosses under or beside 35 at one point. And the only reason I say that is because years and years ago, I saw there was a flood that was happening on my way to San Antonio, and I remember seeing that it was almost at the height of the highway.
Interesting.
So
our second place that we're going to recommend you go to is Joe Pool Lake. Joe Pool Lake is a lake that is really right here in the Metroplex, probably easily an hour to the farthest point on the lake. And this was a dammed reservoir that was created back in the 80s. It offers fishing, all kinds of recreational activity, boating, camping. There are organized campsites. There are some unorganized campsites out there, RV places, a little bit of everything. The two places that you had campsites at are the Lloyd Park and the Cedar Creek State Park, or Cedar Hill State Park.
And there are actually 3 parks or 4 parks down there, and I believe at least 3 of them do have docks. One of them, I believe, you have to pay to use, but the others you might not have to pay. Again, this is one of those things you've got to do a little bit of research before you head out, but it's a great lake, and it is one of the treasures that we have here in DFW.
The next one we were going to tell you about is the Comal River. The Comal River is the shortest navigable river in the state of Texas.
And I believe it's also mentioned in Lonesome Dove, one of my favorite books by Larry McMurtry.
Interesting.
May he rest in peace. Anyway, this is a great little This is a great little space. Edwards Aquifer, this is what feeds into San Antonio and Austin. This is how they get their water. This is getting closer as we step in towards the hill country area. So great spaces. This is one of those ones that you want to go visit summer. Summer, spring, and fall, not so much in the winter. Lots of good floating on this one.
Yeah, the water is consistently, because of the spring it comes from, the water is consistently 72 to 74 degrees year round.
Which is great when it's 100 degrees in August. It's amazing. As we talk about these rivers, some of the things to keep in mind is that if it's a lot of rain has happened, and it doesn't have to rain in the area that you're headed to, but if it rains north of that area, sometimes it can affect whether they're going to open the rivers or not. The same is true if there's not. I have actually floated one of these rivers before, and what should have taken 45 minutes actually took us 4 hours, and we paddled ourselves the entire way. So with that being said, this is just one of those things, it's amazing, or that wasn't so cool. So
Yeah, some of them are, and sometimes the water's so low you got to pick it up and carry it.
I've done that.
Sections,
I've done it.
The Comal River is also down by the San Marcos River, and the San Marcos River is in San Marcos. Both of these are great tubing places. I've been to both of them several times, and the Comal is a little faster. The San Marcos is a little bit slower. It's really about, like, you could make that a 4 to 6 hour float on the San Marcos River.
Absolutely. And the great thing about San Marcos is that, as Jeff's talking about, it has so much to do in the water and floating, and it has such a great tradition. But the other thing is that the town of San Marcos has a lot to do. So if you want to go to Green Hall, that's a great place to go. I think Larry, I'm going to butcher it, but there's a lot of great true country singers that go through this area. The area is also known to host a lot of different festivals. So I know that there's a clay one there. I know that there's probably an art festival down there.
There's a beer festival.
There's beer festivals.
Yeah.
This is one of those ones that is amazing, and depending on when you go, you're going to be able to both be in the water, but you're also going to really experience some really great Texas lifestyle happenings.
And this, the put-in point is what they call the
put-in point?
The put-in point. The San Marcos City Park has a kind of a man-made water slide out of concrete.
Okay, so absolutely. So this is the one that we did in college. And so the crazy thing about this one is that what you're talking about is that cement. Well, it grows moss on it that's about this thick. So what the deal is if you have the right shoes on, you can skate, like stand, and you skate surf all the way out, and then it opens up. And right before you go into like this giant pool of water, you jump and you kind of go over and hit. We had a big time that weekend.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Well, you can, in that same part of the world, you can also go to the Guadalupe River, which is connected to the Comal River we talked about before. This is another one that you can get a really good 4 to 6 hour float on.
Yep.
If you want to do it faster, there are outfitters all up and down the river there that you can get tubes from, you can get canoes from, you can get rafts from.
Right.
And it's really very affordable for the entertainment you get, because it's only about anywhere from $15 to $25 a person for the rental, for the day, for the road trip back.
And the outfitting is absolutely worth it. So they basically put you in a school bus, load up all the inner tubes, drive you north, you get out, and then 2 hours, 3 hours later, you're at a place, they pick you up and they take you back to where your car is. And that is the way to do it.
It really is.
And don't you, like, typically coolers, pack your coolers, float those, get the tube beside, float those with you?
So there are a lot of rules on those rivers, specific to those rivers. Go read those and make sure that, like, there's no styrofoam that's allowed. There's no disposable packaging that's allowed. They really want you to take everything with you that you brought.
Yep. And you'll understand it. So we talk about some of these rivers, and they're really amazing. One of the things is to think about, maybe, depending on who is in your party, about maybe not going on the big 4-day weekends, or maybe going during the week, because depending on what you're really wanting to get involved with, it can make a big difference.
Yeah, there can be a lot of people. The last one that we're going to talk about today is the Pedernales River. And I have to admit, I have not been to this, but I have heard such wonderful things about it. It flows over exposed limestone, characteristic of that Texas hill country. The Pedernales River is to the west of Austin, southwest of Austin, not as far south as San Antonio, but gets really right there in the middle of that hill country.
So if you're in San Antonio and you go due north on 281, it's north of Johnson City. And so this is, again, the heart of the hill country. And so this is where a lot of people go, and we're going to talk about the rivers and how amazing they are. But a lot of times in this area, this is where a lot of people on cruisers and bikes and convertibles just go and enjoy, because the winding roads are amazing. And this little area of Texas has become extremely popular. It's right in between the San Antonio, and it's outside of Austin, but it's not really hugging 35, this area. And so what we're seeing is that there's a lot more of a migration, and I think more and more Texans even became familiar with it because of the pandemic. They needed to really get out and explore, and a lot of wineries are also happening in this area. So these are great little day trips. You can end them with a nice wine tour as well. But again, this is something that we thought that no matter whether it was 2 or 4-legged little ones that you were taking with you, these are really great trips that you can take for the day or for the weekend.
They really are. So I hope you found this helpful. I hope it's maybe reinvigorated you to get out and try some of these summer things as we kind of get back to some level of normalcy.
Yep. And just remember, we want to be your realtors for life.